My Little Art Talk.
PPOV, a new perspective. It was a dark and stormy night. Well, it wasn't exactly stormy or that dark. It was actually daytime and I was working on the Cutie Map Part 1 and 2 when this happened. And I knew what I had to do. Let's start with the suspects. Officer, Pirate Jack, charged with recklessly driving a ship while blindfolded. Crazy Pink, charged with not picking up her toys and causing the ship deck to be less than shipshape, endangering the passengers. Kate Winslet, charged with sinking the Titanic.
Yar, she ain't Kate Winslet.
What? She's a dead ringer. See, I have a picture of Kate right here. See? A striking resemblance.
Yes, darling, although Kate and I have an impeccable fashion sense, I am indeed Rarity. I simply made the delicious cucumber sandwiches.
Although Twilight blames cucumber sandwiches as cause of all the caustic commotion, I have brought you all here to solve a very different case. I intend to positively prove through precise pictorial persuasion why PPOV should instead be titled SPOV. Let's return to the tall tales that were told, shall we? In Rarity's tale, she tells Apple that her wardrobe is delightfully seaworthy, delightful being the operative word. But the next image contradicts her good intentions. Evidence, image 1. Notice how Apple is dressed in a seedy, seafaring garb with a facial expression that could scare away Long John Silver. Rarity does mention to Twilight that Apple had a colorful seafaring attitude, and in the image her hat and turtleneck pick up the colors of the apple in her cutie mark, but are covered in rough, prickly fabric. Considering Rarity's knowledge of cloth, this image is oozing with blame for her misery and torment. Was Rarity so hurt that she would truly see her friend as such a villain? And why does she see Crazy Pink as such a happy, trusting-looking friend? In Pirate Apple's tale, we can see that Apple is simply wearing a life jacket and her telltale traditional hat. Was Rarity seeing things? Were her memories so distorted by her feelings that they changed so dramatically? Apple doesn't feel Rarity was to blame, so it's not a petty back-and-forth fight. Apple tells how it was Crazy Pink who caused all the calamitous commotion to occur. I submit image 2 as evidence. Pinky's crazed expression and the excessive number of items she is carrying, specifically balls. An entire bag of balls on a boat. Not a particularly wise choice. Yet in Rarity's remembrance of Pinky, she has no balls whatsoever. So was Crazy Pinky crazy or not? And why would Apple remember so many toys thrown all over the ship? Is Apple's tidy side wound a bit too tight? Then there is Crazy Pink's tale. I submit image 3. Crazy Pink remembers Apple looking the same as always, except she has on a red scratchy cap that Rarity saw. How is that possible if Apple remembers wearing her telltale traditional hat? And in image 4, that I will now submit, Pinky remembers Rarity in her London Tipton-style Captain of the Cruise Line outfit, with many attendants to help with her various bags. But the bags and attendees disappear once they're on the boat. Now, in Pinky's tale there are games on deck and a couple of volleyballs, but the toys are kept to the edge of the deck. And when Pinky's games are washed overboard, I notice two things. 1. Look at the game on the right. I jotted down my findings on the side. The game is a combination of games, Trouble and Sorry. Did Pinky remember her games this way because she forgot what she brought? Or because she feels guilty for what she has done? Yet look at her face as the games float away. She doesn't look even remotely crazy, and there's genuine sorrow in her eyes. There is something fishy about these stories, my friend, and we are going to get to the bottom of it, so we can reel in the big fish. But first, I would like to submit a few more pictures for evidence and do a few comparisons. Let's look at all the images of our three suspects side by side and look at the stories in the order they were told. Rarity saw Pinky very much the way Pinky saw herself, and Rarity remembers herself with just a simple life jacket on. No sophisticated outfits that she might traditionally wear. It is only Pirate Apple who is completely overdressed for the occasion. Pinky then sees Rarity in her flashy cruise line outfit and many attendees, but sees Apple with just the suspicious red hat. Then finally, Apple sees Rarity in a Titanic-style dress befitting Miss Winslet, with no extra attendees, and sees Crazy Pink with excessive toys and insane, out-of-control actions. And in the final moments before the boat went under, Apple loses her hat while Crazy Pink stands smiling with her tongue out like a happy puppy going for a ride. I must submit my final image for evidence. This is the picture as the three exited the Friendship Express. They are covered in mud and foliage. Notice, Apple has on her telltale traditional hat and Rarity has on a stylish brown jacket from her detective days. I submit the final question. Were these three so overwhelmed with grief that they truly forgot what they and their friends were wearing that day, and wished to remember each other in such a distasteful way? I think not. There is one bit of evidence that puts the whole story together. The PPOV story. The red, scraggly hat. Apple is seen wearing it in both Rarity and Pinky's stories. There's no way that Rarity and Pinky could imagine the same red, scraggly hat. I submit that the images that we have seen are not from the memories of the three survivors, but from a fourth pony's imagination, or should I say, dragon's imagination. Yes, I put forth that it was from Spike's point of view, SPOV, that the story was viewed. Remember how Twilight continued to stress having Spike take down the stories? So let us begin again. Rarity. His love is in distress and she blames Apple for her misery. With the help of Rarity's colorful embellishments, Spike's imagination turns Apple into the villain who has caused harm to his girl. Pinky is not assigned blame by Rarity, so she's perceived in a way that would seem similar to Pinky, the Pinky that he knows. Then the story is told by Pinky. Pinky is negatively stressing the number of helpers that Rarity has, so Spike, still wanting to keep Rarity on a pedestal, imagines Rarity in a stylish, fun-loving cruise director captain garb with an entire crew to direct. Remember, Rarity already revealed how she wanted to give her friends a wonderful, elegant cruise experience. And although Pinky's story spells out how rude Rarity was, in the imagery she comes off as more aloof and a bit of a snob. Yet Rarity is stunning, positive, and has a stylish pigtail. Applejack is still seen with the red cap because Spike isn't completely ready to let go of blaming her for his love's distress. So the red hat is the same because it was originally imagined by Spike as he pictured the story as he was writing it down. Then we come to Apple's story. As Spike listens to her version of the story, she's back to looking like herself. Rarity is even more radiant in her Kate Winslet knockoff dress, an image that still holds on to Spike's sorrow for the sinking of Rarity's ship while remembering her in all her beauty, not with the soiled jacket and muddied mane he saw her in earlier. Once again, she stands out as the strongest and even the bravest, standing at the bow of the boat as the giant wave strikes. A hero to the end. Pinky, on the other hand, seems to have put one over on Spike, because Applejack seems to make so much sense. So Pinky is seen crazed and out of control in her joyful frolic. All the girls embellished and exaggerated their stories to put themselves in the best light and their friends in a more negative light, but the subtle image differences are seen with a twist on how Spike puts it together to try to make sense of it in his head. Both Pinky and Applejack are visually portrayed in a negative light, but not Rarity. She stays beautiful to the end. So it is through Spike's imagination that we see the fanciful version of the stories take on the other perspective. A beautiful episode where we get to see Rarity through Spike's loving eyes.